Narvar is an end-to-end post-purchase platform that enables brands to engage with consumers beyond the buy button. The world's most admired brands, including Sephora, Sonos, and Yeti, take their customer experience from good to great with Narvar. Learn more at narvar.com. That's NARVAR.com.
Welcome to Total Retail Talks, your podcast channel for retail knowledge.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Total Retail Talks. I'm Joe Keenan, Editor-in-Chief of Total Retail. I am here at CRMC in Chicago, and I am joined by Sarah Rasmusen, the Chief Customer Officer of Lands' End. Sarah just gave a presentation here at the show, and we're going to have a couple questions for her about that. So thanks for joining me, Sarah.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
So you were just up on stage, and you talked a lot about Lands' End and its digital transformation. So tell our audience a little bit about those efforts and what you've done at Lands' End to kind of, as I noted, digitally kind of transform the organization.
Thanks. I think, first and foremost, what people need to understand about Lands' End is well over 90% of our transactions as a company are conducted online. For all intents and purposes, we are a digital pure play. And, while we may be known as a cataloger, which we do send a lot of catalogs, and it's, that customer gets the catalog, chooses to transact online. We have a pretty small store footprint, just about 30 odd stores. So digital transformation is kind of a weird word for us because we are, when so much of it, we have a long way to go to work on our infrastructure and continue to improve customers' experiences. But at the end of the day, we are a digitally transformed company by nature of how our customer chooses to shop with us.
Have you seen those, or even put on more of an internal timeline, speeding it up over the last 18 months or so during the pandemic, as even more of that business might be coming online than you traditionally have seen, or how has that impacted you guys?
Yeah, so, there's sort of two parts to that question. One is how we chose to operate during the last 18 months, which is really how we operate every kind of holiday peak of our lives, of the Lands' End career, right? We are working with a lean staff. We make decisions quickly. We test a lot. You just are constantly listening to the customer and what are signals that she's giving us that we need to change our path. So that's one, how we operated, but then the next interesting question is who came online? And if you're going to speak from a generation perspective, the largest generation that experienced the most digital transformation over the last 18 months are baby boomers, and who also happens to be our core customer. So our core customer sits in that demographic. And when you look at her online adoption, the way she transformed over the last 18 months, it's really remarkable how watching how she engages with Lands' End and what's important to her now.
So as part of and you talked about this during the presentation, part of this, and we'll use the word transformation, but as you noted, Lands' End is, almost an online pure play, is the use of data and leveraging data to help you make better decisions and better serve your customers. So can you talk a little bit about how you're leveraging data at Lands' End?
Where aren't we? We make data-driven decisions on our promotions, on the messages we send to the customers, and how we price our products, in how we choose to mail catalogs. There isn't enough. There isn't enough data, and there's way too much. So, we have a remarkable data science team that is really wonderful at cutting through and cutting through the noise and telling stories for us to forge ahead. A wonderful direct marketing team. Great teams across the board. But could I always use 100 more data scientists and 100 more marketers that can act on all of it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So specific to your customers' behaviors, and you've seen, you mentioned the growth in baby boomers in terms of a digital penetration for that demographic. Talk a little bit about the behaviors and how you're learning about their particular shopping preferences and how that might have shifted, and how you're using that insight to provide them with better experiences going forward.
And I think that answers question. That question is answered at pick your part in the funnel, right? So when it comes to where we find her, right? So we mail a lot of catalogs. I've been pretty impressed and surprised at the growth of social media as a transaction point over the last 18 months. You wouldn't be surprised to hear that our customer favors Facebook, YouTube. But also really interested that she adores Pinterest as an example, and I think Pinterest is really untapped for us. I think live stream shopping is something that's going to be, will our customer adopt that as we've seen that take off really quickly. Yeah. So, that's maybe top of funnel, but going down to the bottom, no surprise, increasingly that transaction is happening on her phone. For way too long, our digital phone experience looked like it was the catalog kind of smashed down into a form factor of a phone. Now we design in reverse, that it's the phone is going to be the primary transaction and back up from there.
To the desktop, yeah. You mentioned that you've implemented you do a lot of testing. Talk a little bit about that in terms of how that influences decisions, how frequently you're testing, what things are you testing, and it was specific to your role. I know you're probably testing all different things across the organization, but to learn more about your customers, maybe tell us a little bit about what you're testing, how frequently, and then how you're rolling out the information, what you glean from those tests, how that impacts what you do going forward.
Yeah, we're always testing it. I don't know. At any point in time, we have 20, 30 tests running concurrently, and that's probably small compared to the several billion-dollar websites. But for a billion-dollar website, we're pretty pleased with what we're able to do. We do it to no surprise. We test a lot of promotions. We're a direct response company at the end of the day. So what will elicit the response? What will elicit the rebuy? We're doing some very cool things about, the acquisition channel of a new customer and where will be the next best channel to rebuy. These are all tests that are just constantly running.
Yeah, and they're across some, I would imagine, email, social.
Yep.
All the
exactly the experience,
your website itself,
the color
obviously.
of the checkout button, right?
Your site, yeah.
So,
we talked about sort of the what has transpired over the last year or so, and this kind of commitment to becoming more of a data-driven organization. What are the benefits that you're seeing? What are you hope to see as a result of kind of this data-first approach to CRM and loyalty? I would imagine lifetime value and repeat purchase rate, things like that. What do you guys have your goals set on?
100% in-quarter rebuy rate. No, I'm kidding. That's my
well, shoot for the stars, right?
Yeah. My moonshot is, for me, when I look at the addressable population that hits our core demographic, and when I see how many of those customers we have, the opportunity simply sits in, if I can double that X percent to Y percent, dance with them that brung you, right? Like our core customer is this awesome lady. If I could just reach more of her in this country, how can I use? Pardon?
To your point, finding more of the, kind of those lookalike customers, modeling
exactly,
that out.
Right. Yeah. It's at the end of the day, we're targeting lookalikes, we're targeting behaviors. We're not specifically targeting a, Gen X woman who lives in this state, right? I don't care where, I don't care. But really, it's digging into more of our addressable market who looks exactly like Our Lady.
So that's probably a good segue into this next question. Is obviously that there's a lot of data involved there, and there's technology systems that help you do that. Maybe talk a little bit about kind of the marriage of those two between the technology that you're able to use to help with these personalization efforts and finding the modeling efforts. To your point about finding those lookalike customers, can you tell us a little bit about how technology factors into that as well?
Data, reliable data, a good place to fish from the data, a good lake to fish from the data. So, and again, 100 more data scientists to be able to do it. So, I think as our data gets cleaner and cleaner, it becomes easier to fish from the lake. I just air quoted to those of you listening. But the output is only as good as the input, mm-hmm. and so. The best way that I can help our teams is to enable a stronger, cleaner customer MDM, a stronger, cleaner customer MDM, product MDM, anything associated with getting the data cleaner. And
you're communicating and you're interacting across these multiple channels, so integrating, collecting that.
Right, but we talk about, okay, wow, we really need a CDP. Sure, but if my customer data is still kind of bifurcated and sitting in a place that isn't easily accessible to everyone, and I wouldn't say democratized for the broader organization, it's moot.
Yeah, true. And if that data isn't quality data, to your point as well, quality in, quality out. So one of the things I've talked about here at the show, and I know others have spoken about it as well, is kind of what the future in terms of this data-driven future that we're going into and the elimination of third-party cookies and what that might mean for what we're talking about, really personalizing the experience for your customers. How do you think about that at Land's End? What is kind of getting that first-party data, getting customers to opt in and provide you with data so that you can give them better personalized, relevant experiences? What do you think's on the roadmap for you guys?
And this is where I can probably go back to the point that our catalog is one of our single largest assets, right? So being a direct mail company, at the end of the day, the customer has given us her mailing address, and we have her purchase history. So we wonder what's next. We have, luckily or fortuitously, we run our European business in Germany and the UK, and Germany is obviously already far ahead.
Yes.
We've had to adapt our model in Germany faster. Mm-hmm. But we play that back to, okay, so if US follows suit on this, what does this mean when we lose half of our data, half of our inbound clickstream data, like half of our customer ability to match, right?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, are we going to all revert back to being good old-fashioned direct mailers?
Yeah, and to your point, I think you've gotten maybe have an advantage in that respect, in that you've been a direct mailer for so long. You've got that kind of rich treasure trove of data that you can fall back on that many don't. So yeah, that's a great.
What if the future is paper?
Right. Well, I can tell you anecdotally, like we still get the Land's End mail catalogs, and my wife bought a bunch of swimsuits this summer from.
Great. Good.
She bought them, got the catalog, and then goes online and purchased them. So. Yeah. Well, great. I want to take the opportunity to thank Sarah Rasmusen of Land's End for joining us here at CRMC. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you so much, Joe.
Thanks for listening. For more information on this podcast, please check out our podcast channel page at mytotalretail.com/podcast for show notes. Total Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify. Make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a few moments to rate and review this podcast. Thanks, and until next time, this has been Total Retail Talks.
Branded order tracking, automatic delivery notifications, and convenient returns. 3 ingredients to grow lifetime value and drive repeat purchases. Learn more at narvar.com. That's NARVAR.com.